Thank you for taking the time to talk to Breaking Travel News today, Roy. So tell us a little bit about Air Seychelles. What makes it so unique?
Air Seychelles, whilst it's got the name of Seychelles behind it as a destination, Air Seychelles as an airline is not the biggest, never going to be the biggest, not even a mid-size. So it's a boutique airline that's really associated with Seychelles as a country. But whilst it may be a small airline, it is an incredibly complex organisation and an incredibly complex airline as well. There are three actual different strands to it, all of which interweave to each other. You have a very strong domestic operation amongst the islands. You have an incredibly strong regional operation across the Indian Ocean and Africa, and then you also have the international as well. So whilst they are all business units in their own right, they all link together to support each other to give you this one bigger picture, which is what Air Seychelles is today.
Fantastic, thank you for that. And Air Seychelles has just been recognised with not one, not two, not three, but 4 World Travel Awards at the recent World Travel Award Indian Ocean Gala ceremony. So tell me how important it is for Air Seychelles to be honoured in this way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't stop smiling at this. to win 4 awards, again, I come back to the point, for an airline the size of Air Seychelles to win 4 awards in an industry which is very challenging, in an industry which has got a lot of airlines which are much bigger in size. So for an airline the size of Air Seychelles, I think it's fair to say we're out punching our weight. And it's something we're incredibly proud of, again, for us as a small airline in a very competitive environment, competing against much bigger airlines with much deeper resources. And for us to achieve this, I've got a lot of very proud people in the company.
We just touched on your recent success at World Travel Awards, so I presume it's fair to say you're feeling optimistic for the rest of the year and the next few years?
I think people who work with me and work closely with me, whilst I'm optimistic, I push hard. I do not think you can rest on your laurels. I think in this day and age, the level of competition out there and surprise things that happen in the world, that's business, something always comes along. You cannot afford to sit back. If you sit back and expect things in 12 months' time to be the same as you are today, you're dead in the water. It's not going to happen. You have to keep moving forward. So optimistic that there's a good base there. Optimistic, a bit like a chef, all the ingredients are there. It's how you bring it all together. And once you achieve success, how as a CEO you set a vision for where you want to be in 12, 18, 24 months down the line. And if necessary, how you keep stretching the finishing line as well. My staff will know there's never a finishing line.
So important to keep striving.
Absolutely, absolutely. You've always got to be setting yourself new challenges. There's never perfection. You can always improve on something. Whilst you can improve on assets, whilst you can improve on technology and infrastructure, there is always improvement. And I think the big focus for us going forward is people. We've spent a lot of time in the last 2 years under my tenureship laying a foundation of advanced planning. We know where we want to go. We know the tools we need to get there. And it's ultimately down to the people then to carry it through. And whether that's giving people more training, moving people around to get right skill sets into the right jobs. I'm a big believer in internal promotion as well. I think that's good for morale within a company. And it's how you combine all of that together to keep a company optimistic and moving forward, but always stretching itself.
Wonderful. And how important do you think Air Seychelles is to the local economy?
I think it's a well-used phrase. Tourism is the lifeblood of Seychelles. Now, together, we as Air Seychelles are a very important cog in the wheel. We're not the only cog in the wheel. And that's where a close working relationship with the Seychelles Tourism Board, hoteliers, tourism as a country working together for the benefit of bringing tourism into Seychelles. So we as Air Seychelles have an incredibly important role to play, but you cannot do it in your own right without being mindful of what's going on around you and how you impact on other partners and people in the industry around you, both in Seychelles and overseas as well, and how you piece that together for the benefit of the Seychelles tourism industry.
And what would you say you see as the main challenges or trends regionally in the industry?
The main challenges, I always like to see fuel prices come lower, like most airline executives do. If I look at it at a regional perspective, I think one of the challenges out there, and it's it's a challenge for the industry. It's not necessarily a challenge for Air Seychelles. I think we are very lucky as a country that we have got a brilliant visa waiver program. If I look at regionally across Africa, etc., I think that's a challenge for whatever reason that many countries and airports have in terms of freedom of movement, because the more restrictive you make a visa or an entry program, the harder it is to bring guests into your country. It doesn't matter whether it's leisure, business, visiting friends and family, whatever it is, it makes them cumbersome. And I think that's a challenge I think that the Africa region in general needs to think about. And of course you have the other challenge as well in this day and age, and it's not going to go away, of security. I think you have airlines working to try to facilitate travel. You have airports and other organisations working to ensure security is at its maximum. And it's how you piece the two together to try to optimise the flow of travel within that.
So we just talked there about the challenges, but where would you like to see going forward Air Seychelles in 10 to 15 years' time?
What's that famous song? One day at a time.
Well, yes, true. But looking ahead,
Looking ahead, we've laid a good foundation. We have to continue to keep our feet on the ground, not get carried away. We need to ensure that Air Seychelles, as an organisation, is robust and self-sustainable in its own fashion, without stakeholders needing to support it. So that's the immediate focus. We've started that, we're delivering it. We need to make sure in very challenging climates that we continue to do so. And then it's about expansion and growth in a very sensible and pragmatic fashion. Because again, for an airline the size of Air Seychelles, you can very easily get carried away and grow too quickly, which then brings challenges as well with it. So 10, 15 years time, it would be great to have Air Seychelles self-sustainable, important member of the community, driving tourism, an important member of the region as well, but being able to do so on its own 2 feet continually.
Well, we'll watch this space. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time to speak to Breaking Travel News today, and we wish you and Air Seychelles every continued success.
Great, thank you very much for taking the time out. Thank you.